So let me put this here so that I can accept people. So yeah, so before we get started, yesterday's lesson, do any of you have any trouble with it, or you are cool, like you understand everything? Have you practiced something? Have you failed at doing something, or you guys didn't try at all? Let me know. Have you guys tried doing something? Have you tested something? Was everything working? Any inputs, or we should just proceed? Okay, so yeah, let's continue with today's lesson. Before that, a little bit of recap. So yesterday we looked at conditional statements. Yesterday we look at conditional statements, if statements. We also look at how we can use loops, for loops and while loops. So we've learned that. And today we'll be looking at some other data types. Okay, so we've learned about strings in our first lesson. In our second lesson we look at strings, we look at integer, we look at floats, we also look at boolean data types. So today our main focus will be on lists, dictionaries, and we'll look at maybe sets. If we have time, we'll look at all those things, and those are other data types which you use quite a lot if you are writing Python code. But before that, yesterday we need to build some mini projects using what we have learned before, but because of time we're not able. So today let's quickly do that. And what we are going to do is to build some simple guessing game based on whatever we've learned using those if statements and what have you. So this is how it goes. We the plan, let me put here, the plan here is to first, or let me use a doc string so that we can write here. So the plan here is to get an input from the user. So let's say the plan is to get user input. Then after getting the user input, we have to also automatically generate an input. So the user input here we will be taking will be an integer. So let me specify it here that we'll take an integer from the user, and then we'll also generate an integer by the system. So automatically we'll have some algorithm that automatically generate an integer. So let's say auto generate integer. So yeah, we also auto generate some integer, and then we'll have to compare the two integers. So if they are all the same, that means the user have guessed correctly. If not, that means the user did not guess well, so we have to try again. Is that okay? So but these are the two main things we need to do: generate, ask the user for an input, and also auto generate some input. But first of all, let's learn how to auto generate any number or number input in Python. Okay, so for that you learn something new. um let's import something called random. Okay, random. So random is a library in Python. Once you install Python, random is automatically installed. But the question now is, what is a library? So a library is just a piece of code written that you can use. You can use. Okay, so somebody have done that work already, so you can import it and use it. Is that okay? So that's what a library does in programming. Most of the things you'll be doing, like most of the things, somebody have done it already, so the person have written that as a package. So you just have to import that package and use the functionality of that particular package. Is that okay? So first we'll use random for generating the integer. Okay, so to generate an integer, random have a function called random.rand int, right? Random.rand int, and inside here this function takes two numbers, and these two numbers gives you the range. Okay, to return a single integer in that given range. So if we should do 1 to 5 here, anytime you run this code return an integer value from 1 to 5. So let's assign this into let's call it random underscore number, right? Is equal to this. So let's assign it, and I'll go ahead and print this random underscore number right here. So anytime you run the code, it will give you an integer, a random integer number, and that's the system generated number. So let me run this, and you can see we got 3. If I run the same thing again, it will give me, okay, it has given 3 again. Let's run again. Now we got 2, so it will just give you a random number in a sequence you can't guess. So yeah, it will just give you in a random, giving you 5 again, 4. And you can, if you want to make it very difficult, you can increase it from now from maybe 1 to 20. Then it will generate a random number between the ranges of 1 to 20. Is that okay? So now we know how to auto generate random number. All right, so this is the random number. So the next thing you have to do is what? Get the user input, right? Get an input from the user, where the user can also give us his number, because in the plan we say what the plan is to get the user input and also auto generate. Now we have auto generated the number already, so let's get the user input. So in Python we say what the user, let's call it user underscore input, is equal to, we take what input here, and we say over here tell the user to enter, let's say enter your guest number, or so enter your guest number. All right, but now this will enable the user to also enter his number. So my question now is, what should we do here? Because the number we'll be getting here, what do you think it will be, and what is the right thing we should do here? Because I think this line of code, there's something we need to do based on what we have learned. So let me ask you guys that question. If you are ready, you can just say it. You can raise your hand, then you say something. Are you guys ready? Have you guys identified the problem there? Yeah, Dennis. Amazing, amazing. Have a happy Saturday. So we need to do int here and cast it to what integer, so that we make sure the data type now is also an integer, so that we have int here and we have int here. So when the data types are the same, then we can now use them, right? So we generate a random number, we take the user input, and we can print them. But first of all, let's print something on the terminal so that we can know. So here we are printing the random number, and we can also print, well, how do we call it, the user inputs. Okay, but let's run this and let me teach you guys something. So enter your guest number. If I enter 5 here, you can see now I got 2, which is the random number I'm printing, and the 5 which I've entered. But when you see these 2 and 5, you don't know which is which. So most of the times it's very good you print all of these well. Okay, add some string to the number. Okay, so we have something in Python called f strings. Okay, so f strings allow you to print like information on the terminal using different data types, because normally you can print let's say an integer and let's say a string, like you can add them in a single print statement. So in order to print that, we have something we call f string. So you just have to write the print, and inside here you put f here. It can be lowercase or uppercase f, and then you bring the double quotes here. So inside here you can what, write some text. Okay, we can say, okay, this is the random number. Do you get it? This is the random number, and now we can add this random number to it, the random number, which is what the random number that will be generated. But now the reason why we are using the f string is that you can see the data type of this random number will be an integer, right? So in order to combine both the integer and the string, that's why we are using the f string. So if you want to insert something which is not of the same data type, you can do this and put it there. We can say this double, is it curly braces, and then we put the random number there, right? So now when it's printing this and reach here, it will know, okay, this is another data type. That's why it is encapsulated like this, and then to be able to print it well for us. Is that okay? So we'll do the same thing, or we can print the same thing on the same line. Usually one print statement. So let's change this to the random number is, and then we have something here, then we put the random number, and then we can continue, and the user input is, and we can also here put the user input, right? So what is the user input? We call it user input. So now we don't need all these two lines. Once again, now we can just get rid of it. And if we run this code now and we enter, we'll get a clear explanation of what we have done. So user input 5, you can see the random number is 17 and the user input is 5. So this looks like this explains what we are doing. We are able to know which is the random number and which is the, so this just helps you to print whatever inputs you have here. Is that okay? Okay. So now that we've gotten these two, we have to compare, right? We have to compare so that the user will know if he has won the guess or not. And because of that, I don't want to make it difficult. From 1 to 20, the numbers between is too much. So let's make it 1 to 5. And we know to do comparison, we have to use what? If statement, right? So we can say if anytime the user input, right, is equal to, how do we call it? The random number. What should we do? We can print a statement. Okay, we'll tell the user, hooray, you have won, right? You have won, because that means the user is able to win it. You have won. And then we can even put this print statement here. We can put it here that okay, you have won, and then we can get rid of it here, so you don't know what happens until you get it. So if this is not the case, then what do we want to do? What do you want to do? We can put else here, and we can print a message that we can say thanks for guessing, but that is not the, let's say, right guess, or something like that. We can put something like this for the user, and then we can still print this for the user to see the random number and then his input. So now let's try this out. Let me clear the terminal, and if we run this now, you can see enter your guess number. So if I enter 2, I press enter, you can see thanks for guessing, but this is it by the, oh, the English there is wrong, but this is not the right guess. So let's change this to, but this is not the right guess. The random number is 5 and your user input is what, 2. So you can see now it's just kind of a simple random game where I can use it now to test my guessing luck, right? But we can take this to another level, right? If maybe you want to make this in a loop where the user will have to guess some number of times and all those stuff, we can still do that. Is that right? We can still do that. So should we try that? Let's try and do that where we use loops, right? So let's say the user have to guess for some number of times. So if you are playing this guessing game or something, you have life, right? So let's put it here like the user life, or let's say life, and let's do the life is equal to 5. And I want to run all this in the loop, so we'll continuously run this until the user gets right. So we'll use a while loop. So let's say while life, so let's do life, while our life, what am I spelling? This is life is what, less than, okay, so if we say life is less than 5, that means we want to do this 5 times. Or let me how will I do this to make sense? So let me say, okay, so okay, let's have a guess count as well. So let's call this guess count, so that anytime this guess count is not up to life, we can do something. So guess count is equal to 0. So while our this guess count, right, this will make sense, is less than life, we'll continuously do this, right? I think, do you guys understand the logic? So we have our life. So let's say you have to guess 5 times. The life is you have to guess maybe 5 times. And this guess count, we have to what? Increase it anytime you finish guessing, right? Anytime we take a user input, we have to increase it, right? So now we are saying while this guess count is less than life, that means you have additional life, so you can continue doing what you are doing. Is that okay? So in order to keep track of all those things, we can move this one at the top, at the down. So we will have this here. Let's put this here. And anytime you give us a user input, we can increase the guest count. So we can do guest count is equal to guest count plus, let's say, 1, which is the same as guest count plus equal to 1. So yesterday I taught you this syntax. This is the same as guest count plus equal to 1. So any of this works, right? So let me comment this just so you know. So now we'll keep on doing this until this one this this guest count is equal to 5. When it's equal to 5, then we have to break the game, right? So anytime the guest count is equal to 5, we can also break the game. So we can write that logic. You can add additional if statement or something. So you can do if maybe the guest count is equal to live. What do you want to do? You can break the game. So we write break. I'm just trying to write something that we've used in all the programs. So you can say everything we are using here is something we have learned yesterday, right? We've learned break, we've learned if statements. So you can see how you can combine these to assemble some complicated type of code. So we are checking if our guest count is equal to live, then we'll break. But before we break, let's print some message. We can print here. Um, let's do f string so that we can put your life that you are out of life, right? You're out of life. Try again, maybe later, something like that. Later. You get it? So yeah, this will just keep track of this life. Once it's up to this thing, we stop, and it's good we move this code to the down here. It will work though, but it's good we move it to the down here so that it will be the last thing to execute. So now if we run this code and even we lose, it should give us the chance to do that thing again. So if I enter 3, you can see now still I can still enter a number. Thanks for guessing, but this is not the right guess. The random number is 2 and the user input is 3. So now I can still enter another number. So this helps me to do that repeatedly. So let me enter 1. Still I'm not able to win. I can still enter. You can see. So let me try 4. Still I'm not able to win. So I'll be entering. If I don't win and it gets to the number of life, which is 5, then the game should break. But now we have tried for how many times? Is it how many times have we tried now? 1, 2, is it 3? So let me try again. If I win, then that's fine. I didn't win, so I think this should be, let me try again, 4. And now you can see for the 5th time now, you see you are out of life. Try again later. You see how amazing it is. We can use what we have learned just yesterday to write some complicated type of code. And we can even modify this by keeping track of some of the things we are doing. So let's say after entering a number, we should be able to maybe display the number of life left for the user so that the user will be very careful. We can do all those stuffs, right? So yeah, this is a simple project I want us to build based on what we've learned yesterday, and I want to use this. So if you have any questions about this, let me know. If there is no question, then we can proceed for the main agenda for today. But this just it's just like a refresher for what we have learned yesterday. Is that okay? Okay, Doc, you can come in. Okay, so let me go through the whole thing. So now, first of all, we import a module called random, right? And this random helps us to generate a random number. And now what we are doing is that we are telling random, want to generate random numbers between 1 and 5. So anytime we run that code, a random number will be generated, and the number can be any number between 1 and 5. And you can increase this if you want. If you want the complexity to be high, then you can do it from 1 to maybe 20 or 1 to 25, any number. That will just make it very complex because it's hard to guess a single number between 1 and this thing. So if you understand that part, nice. Okay, from there we said we want to give the user the number of times he can guess, right? We want to give him to guess for some number of time, just like games that you play. When you are playing game, you play the game, you have life, and then when they kill you or they shoot you for that number of time, your life is over, game over. You have to retry, right? You have to rerun the game. So for that, we said, okay, your life, we have given you 5. We have given you 5 lives. All right. Now, how do we know your life? How do we know? How do we keep track of your life? That okay, you have died. How do we keep track of that thing? To keep track of that, we have given you a guess count. So anytime you make a guess, we increment this. That means anytime you've tried, if it's in a game, anytime they shoot you and you are dead, we increment it by one, right? So for the initial one, we start with 0. So in the while loop, we are saying while guess count is less than life and true from the start, guess count is 0. Is 0 not less than 5? It is, right? But then anytime we take your user input, which means you have guessed, right, we increase the guess count by 1. So anytime you make a guess, we say what guess count is equal to guess count plus 1. Is that okay? That means anytime you enter something and the system records that, we increment your guess count so that we can keep track of that. Is that okay? All right. So we are just keeping track of that. And then we are running this your normal code. But we are also saying here that, okay, if your guess count is equal to life, anytime this your guess count is equal to life, so anytime this guess count from 0 is equal to 5, that means you have tried 5 times. So we should what? We should terminate the game. We should tell you that, okay, you are out of life. Unless, of course, you win. So when you win, if you are within that 5 times, you are able to win, then you get this message. Hooray, you have won. The random number is that okay? But anytime too that guess number is not equal to this thing, you get this message printed. Thanks for guessing. We can modify this to make it nice, like display the number of life you have left, do all those calculations, which is very simple. I think you guys can do it just by subtracting the number of guess count from the life, and then you are printing it all the time. So anytime the user tries, then you subtract 1 from life. You can be displaying the life along as well, and you can reformat this to look great. Is he like well explained now, or you still have a question? Let me know. You are good. Any other question from anyone? Any other question? All right. So if there is no question, then we'll move on to today's main agenda, which is we are to learn about list, right? So list is also a data type in Python, and up to now, if you follow whatever we are doing, you know that we are just storing a single value into a single variable. Like we just do something like name is equal to what? Um, we use dog virtue, right? Name is equal to dog virtue. Name is equal to, so it's like 1:1. We store one value into one variable. When it comes to list allows you to now store multiple values to a single variable. So let's say you are in a classroom where you have a lot of names of people. You can now assign all those names to one variable, right? Class 5, we can do, okay, class 5, then class 5 is equal to list of class names, which are list of people who are in class 5. Is that okay? And that's very important, because in the real world, that's how things look like. We have a lot of group of staff that are assigned to something, right? Yeah, so that's what list allows us to do. So list allows us to what? Assign multiple values into one variable. So let's start off by declaring a list, and I'll show you how easy it is to declare a list in Python. Where is this? Let me put this here now. Okay, so to declare a list, first of all, you have to assign it to the variable in which you want. So if it's a list of names, you can write maybe names and is equal to, and the first thing you have to bring is what? These two square brackets. Then inside here, you can populate this bracket with whatever you want. If it's a list of numbers, list of names, then you can populate it with whatever you want. So you can, if it's a list of names, then you can put it here. You can start, maybe the first name is Sam. After the first one, you put the second name, but you put comma before the second name. I'll use Dennis. Then you start like that. Is that okay? So this is how we define a list. Square brackets, then you populate it to whatever you want. One thing about list is that you can mix different data types. Like this list, we can also have an integer in it, 67. We can have numbers. You can mix the data types in it. Is that okay? So that's one great thing about it. So to define a list, you do a names or the variable in which you want to assign the list to. You bring this square bracket and then you start putting your stuffs in. Okay, there's another way to define a list. So let's say now let's do it for numbers. You can do is equal to, and we have what we call the list decorator, or yeah, the list decorator. You can write list, and inside here you can have two brackets, parentheses here, and then you can still populate it with certain things, right? So you either take learn this or this, but mostly we use this, right? Because nobody has the time to be writing lists before doing all this stuff. Is that okay? So that's what lists help us to do. But to work with lists, there is certain things you need to know, right? And the first thing in you have to know is that the items in the list are ordered, right? So that's one thing you have to know. Let me do a doc string here so that I can paste those things inside. Item in a list are ordered, right? So let me put it here. Um, so this is the first thing you have to know. When we say that lists are ordered, it means what? The items have a defined order, and that order will not change. So the order is that okay, we have this before this, we have this before this, we have this before this, and that order what um tells you how you can retrieve the items in the list, right? So items in the list are ordered. That's the first thing you have to know. Items in a list are ordered. Is that okay? Any question about that? Okay, the next one I want you to know is that what list accepts duplicates. Duplicates, right? List accept duplicate. You can have two names twice, right? So we can still have something like Dennis here, which will work because the items are ordered. List accepts duplicate, because when we are accessing these items, we access them using something we call the index. They are index. So Dennis here and Dennis here have different index. So that will make them unique. Okay, so we can access this using its index. We can access this using its index. So that allows items in a list. You can duplicate them. Is that okay? Okay, the next one is list items are changeable. List items are changeable, and we'll go through all of this in code in a sec. So list items are changeable, right? List items are changeable. We can access this and change it to another thing in this same list. So that's what it means. We can remove this and put another thing here. Is that okay? So these are some of the things you have to know about lists. And also the first, so let's start with code. The first thing you can do with lists is if you want to know the total number of items in the list, you can use the length function I taught you. So you can just do length of names, right? And this should give you the total number of items in this particular list. So if we print this, let's let's just print it, wrap this in a print statement, and if we run this should give us the number. So it's 7. And if we count here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, you get it. So that you can use the length function to get the total number of items in the list. Is that okay? Any question? You can also use the type. If you want to check the type of it, you can check just as we check the type of the other data types. You can do the type of how do we call it, names, and it will tell you it's in the class list. So you can see class list. So these are some of the things. These things work on all the data types. So if you know already that you can use them on the other data types we've learned, then you know it should work here as well. I told you this one, we call it the list constructor, where you can use to construct a list, but I prefer you stick to this one because this one is mostly used. You don't have time to type this list. Is that okay? If you have any questions, that's good, but if you don't have, let's continue. So the next thing we learn here is how to access items in a list, right? So let's call it accessing items in a list. Let's speed up today. So let's say you have this list of names and I told you, okay, get me the first name, which is Sam here. How do we access it? Is that okay? So to access it, maybe you want to put it in a variable called Sam is equal to then the name of the list. So in our list, the name we've assigned to our list is what? Names. And we use indexing, right? Just a string. Then you bring this square bracket and then you can put the position. So all these items in the list have their position. It starts from 0. Is that okay? So Sam here is at index 0. Dennis is at index 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then this Dennis is at index 6. So if I want to access this Sam here, I can do it like this. I can just put 0 here, and this should get me Sam. So let's print that to see if we'll get Sam. So if I print Sam here, I will kind of run this, and this should get me. You can see we got the Sam here. If I want to access the next one, which is Dennis, then I have to put here as what? 1. And when I run this should get me what? Dennis, which is 1. Is that okay? To access items in the list. Is that okay? Okay. Another thing is how do we access range of items, right? So let's do it accessing range of items in a list, right? Let's say I told you to get me the first 3 names: Sam, Dennis, and Sifa. So to do something like that, let's call it what is the variable name I'll give this? Let's call it more names, right? More names, not bad. More names is equal to, then you can do names, and then inside this square bracket you can use what we call slicing. We learned slicing, which helps us to get multiple steps, right? So you can do, okay, you want from 0, then you bring this colon to what? If it's 3, then you put 3 here. But from 0 to 3 will give you from 0 to 2. Okay, it's always minus 1. It will not give you out to 0 to 3. So now we can print more names to see. So more names. Is that okay? Let's print more names. Let me close this so that we get a fresh terminal. When I run this now, you can see we got what? First we are printing Sam, which we got no, we are printing Dennis at index 1. So Dennis, we got Dennis, and then we are accessing more, printing more. You can see we got Sam, Dennis, and Cephas. Is that okay? So we put that, we want from 0 to what? 3. But what I'm saying is that from 0 to 3 will give you from 0 to 2. So you get 0, 1, and 2. It's always minus 1. It doesn't give you. So if you want 0 to 3, like we want the names up to 67 here, then we can have to increment this by 1, which will give us that. Is that okay? So that's how we can access item in a list, or we can get list of items in a list. Is that okay? Is that okay? All right, so let's continue. Now let's see how we can check if there is an item in a list, right? Let's see how we can check if there is an item in the list. So yesterday we started off with this narrative that you work at the airport, and then a lot of people buy tickets, they enter into their flights, and FBI came back and asked you, okay, we have this name, is this person, have this person booked the flight? But as the person in charge of recording those names, the names are plenty. So you have to use some type of program to check if that name is there. So now we are using a very good data structure there here, where we have name. Yesterday we are just using string, where we have to believe that, okay, a single character is a name, but now we have actual names and some numbers. So let's say you are part of the FBI and you come and you said, okay, I should search for Cephas. Yes, I know Cephas. Cephas here, I should search for the name Cephas, whether it's part of is part of the people who bought tickets. So you can just write the if statement. You can see if and then the name. Is that okay? So if that name is in the list, so the name here we want to check is maybe Cephas. We've learned if statement. So we can do if Cephas in then the name of the list, which is names. Then we can print a statement here. We can say FBI, he did inside. You can do FBI. The guy, let's just write the guy did inside. Something like that. Is that okay? So once we get this statement, that means someone like that is in the plane. Else we can still print our FBI he no dey inside. Is that okay? So now let's run this code and see if what FBI will print for us. So you can see FBI, the guy dey inside because truly we have what safers here. We have safers. But let's try a name which is not inside. So let me try my name Phyllis like this, which is not in the list. What am I writing? Let's try something like this. You can see we got what FBI, he no dey inside. Is that okay? So that's how you can check if a given item is in the list. Okay, that whatever is in the list, we call them the list items, right? So you can check if an item is in the list. Is that okay? Or element is in the list. So this is how you can check. You see, it's very easy. So now we learned how to check the length of the list, the type of it, which you know it will be class list. Know how to access an individual item. We know how to access range of item. We know how to how do we call it? We know how to check if a particular item is in the list. Now let's learn how to change a value in the list. So let's say changing value in lists, right? So let's say the first name here, which we have, which is Sam, right? It shouldn't be Sam, but anyway, we made a mistake and we made it Sam, right? So let's see how we can change it. So to change the item, it takes two steps. First, you need to what access the item, and then you assign it to the new item you want to change it. Is that okay? So to access, we learn how to access item, right? We learn how to access items. So how do we access the name Sam here? Someone can try. Someone can tell me what to type. If you can, just try your luck. Let's see if you get it. How do I access the name Sam? So that I'll also add how to change it to it, so that we'll have a complete thing. How do I access the name Sam? Guys, you can try. You can try. How do I access it? You can try. We learn how to access items in the list, right? So just try. How do I do it? Will you try? Who will try? You guys don't want to try. We learn how to access here, right? We said if you want to put it in a variable, then you can put it in a variable. Then you write the names, which is the names of the list, and then you access using the index. And I told you Sam here is at index 0, 1, 2, 3, so on. So the item you want to like access, you just have to know its index. So Sam here is at index 0. To access Sam, what do? We just do names square bracket, then we put what 0 here. So we know this will access what Sam for us. Is that it? So once we access Sam, what do? We do is equal to, then we assign a new value. So we can do Phyllis here. Is that okay? And we can go ahead now and print names, which we'll see if it has assigned. If not, we have to reassign it. So now when we print names here, you can see instead of Sam, we have what Phyllis here. So now we have Phyllis, Dennis, Sifas, and we are able to just what change it, right? So you can access anything at all. You can access the Dennis here and also change it. To access Dennis, we know Dennis is at the second index, so we can just do names at index what 1, which is Dennis, and then we can assign it and make it Pablo, right? So if we run this now, that should change, and then instead of Dennis here, you see we have Pablo. So that's how we can access items in the list and change them. List is very important because you use it ton of time. I think it's one of the most used data structures, right? So yeah, it's the same thing you hear. List is the same thing you hear array. So if you hear array in Python, it's kind of a list. Is that okay? Yeah, so that is how you can access item and reassign different things to them. So that's kind of how it is done. Now let's learn how to access range of item or change a range of item, right? Because we also learn how to uh, access range of item. So if we know how to access range of item, we can change range of item. So let's say okay, say first you can come in. Come again, the original variable. Can I hear you clearly? Which original variable? Just mention the name. Is it the names? We are changing what? Yeah, I can hear you, but your it's not that clear, but I can hear you though. Okay. Yeah, we are changing this Sam to Felix. Yeah. Oh, okay. Like we should just come here, right? Like you mean we should come here, like this, and change Sam to Felix. Oh, okay. I got it. You okay? So in the real world, you see that that would be simple, right? But in programming, maybe this name they brought, this thing they brought here is a data you are getting from somewhere, right? It's like a data you are getting from somewhere. Sometimes API you are fetching this data from somewhere. So it's not like something you have defined here. Is that okay? Here we define it, but let's say you are working with this OpenAI APIs, right? And all of those stuffs, and then you make a request. When you go to ChatGPT and you send hello, then it returns something. Hello, how can I help you today, right? So let's say now the request you've made is it returns some type of names, and you have to display that names in the front end. Like go on a website where you see some list of names, and then you realize that okay, this name that it is returned is a mistake, so I have to change it to Felix. That one you can't go back to ChatGPT and change that name. You can't go to wherever they have hosted their backend or something and change it. You have to change it. Do you get it? So you have to access it and change it, because you can't change it from the original source. You have no control about that. Is that okay? So that's why we'll not come here to come and change it. So I'm teaching you that okay, anytime you have any data coming from anywhere at all, and assuming it's a list, or if it's a list, this is how you can change item, this is how you can access item, this is how you can change range of item. Is that okay? Yeah, so I got your point, but that's the reason why you just have to know them, because you will not get come here and come and change it. All right, so now let's see how we can change range of items. So changing range of item is like, okay, we want to change maybe Sam and Dennis at once. We want to change say Fast and 67 at once. We don't want to do them one after the other as we have done them here. So if you want to change these names here at once, then we can access them at once and change them at once. Is that okay? So to access the first two names, which is Sam and Dennis, how do we access them? I've taught you that accessing more names. So we can just do it this way. Let me call this Sam underscore Dennis, right? And this is equal to, then we bring our names and we want to access these first two. So with the first two, we start from 0 to what? 2, which will give us 0 and 1, which is the first two. So 0 to 2 will give us the first two, 0 and 1, with the 2 not inclusive, right? All right, so now we'll get these first two, and then we can what assign it to something that we can do is equal to, and we'll bring another list, and then we can type the name. So instead of Dennis and Felix and then Sam and Dennis, let's give different names. So we can add Paul here, comma, then we can do maybe John, right? And then let me comment this one, because now we don't need this one here. Let me just comment it, and let me borrow this so that I print it here. So this here should help us change these two names at once, right? That's what we mean by changing range of names. So let me run this, and you can see we have what? Paul and John, Cephas and the rest. Range of names, that's kind of how you can change them in a list. Is that okay? Now let's look at adding items to a list. Okay, so you already have this list here. Is that okay? You already have this list, or what I'll do for you guys to see, let me copy this list here, and then what I'll do is to comment everything we have done so far, so that you will still see the list as we go. We don't have to scroll here, so we still have our name here. And then I ask you to add a new name to this list, right? So let's call it adding a new adding item to list. items to a list. So I asked you to add a new name, right? So you are just there, we just came, okay, add a new name to this list. Add a name called te into this list now. How do we do it? All you have to do is to write your names, which is the name of the list you have defined, and you write dot append, right? And inside the append method, you add the new name. So if you do names dot append and you add your te here, let me do it capital te here. Now if we go ahead and print the name, te will be added to the last that will be added to the last end of the list, right? It will be added to the after Dennis here. So let's run this and see. And you can see we have te here being added. So we use the append method what to add item to the list. Is that okay? Is that okay? Are we guys clear? Now let's see how you can also there's another way you can also add items to a list. Let's say now I'm asking you to add item to a list, but I'm asking you, okay, we know append can add to the end, but I want you to add a new name to this list, but add the add it so that it will be the first thing, right? It should be the first thing in the list. That's where we use insert. So for that one, you can do names dot what insert, and with insert it takes two arguments, right? It takes two inputs. First, where do you want to insert it? Okay, so which index do you want to insert it? And remember, I'm telling you, it should be the first thing. So the first thing is always index what 0, then you do comma, right? What is the particular item you want to store there? And then now you can do something like maybe you want to put Joseph at the first instead of Sam at the first. You want to put Joseph. So let me also add this print here so that we can see it before and after, right? Let me close this so we get flash terminal, then I'll go ahead and run this. So over here now you can see this is before we appended te, which te is part, and then the next one we inserted Joseph. So you can see Joseph is at the first place, right? So we have Joseph, Sam, Dennis before the rest. So insert gives you that flexibility to put the item anywhere you want, right? To give it any position you want it to be. Is that okay? So that's the difference between insert and then how do we call it? Insert and append. Append puts it at the last end of the thing, and then insert also do this. Insert will just let me get rid of the numbers here. We are using names, so let's just use names. Okay, so the next one I'm going to teach you is what we call extend, right? Extend. And extend helps you to do one thing, to add like two lists together. So this is what insert insert. Okay, so let's use extend. So for extend, let's say we have these names, right? And then let's say another person brings you another list of names. So let's call this one new names, right? New names. And this new names is equal to a list of some new names. So in these new names, let's just have Kofi. Let's have Amma and this local name. So let's say there are two new names, Kofi and Amma, and I'm asking you to add it to these original names. And bear in mind now, these new names that they brought, they are list of names, right? They are list of names. So how do you add these two lists together? Is that okay? That's where we use extend. So the question now is, do you want to add this to this or add this to this? So if you add the two one to this one, then we can do what? All you have to do is what? Do names dot extend. Then inside here, what do you want to extend it with? You can this one new names. You can add the names to the new names. So you can do new names dot extend, and then here instead of new name we can add names. But that's we'll take this one and add this one to it. So now when I run this same thing, now you can see what is it? Are we printing the okay? Now let's print instead of let's print new names. Let me get rid of this. So when I print this now, you can see we have Kofi and Amber, and this the rest of the names here are added to it. So any of them that you use, it depends on which one you want to add to which one. If you want to add this one to this one, then you do these names dot extend and you add a new name. If you want to do the reciprocal, you know what you have to do. Is that okay? Is it clear? So that's how we use the extend. We use to extend names in Python. Now let's go ahead and look at how we can remove an item from a list. Okay, so removing an item, because we now know how to add. So let's go removing items from a list. Is that okay? So to remove an item from a list, let's start with our name list, and let me comment all of these that we had. So let's say we have names here and want to remove there is two Dennis, so we want to remove, or how do I say, what will I say, maybe let's want to remove any items, or there is two Dennis, we want to remove one from it. So there are methods we can use, there are multiple methods, so we can just do names dot, we have a pop method, names dot pop, just like this, and when we print names, this will pop, is it the last item in the list or so. So let's print names, let me print it, and you can see the last item, which is Dennis here, is popped, right? So dot pop will remove the last item. Let's see if we can specify an index. So let's put 0 in dot pop, that means you should remove a sum instead. So let's see if dot pop takes arg. So you can see we're able to what, remove sum. So dot pop, when you don't provide anything, it will remove the last item. When you provide an index, it will remove the item at that index. Is that okay? Okay, so my question now, if I do dot pop in the index of -1, which item will it remove? If you know, then you say it. Which item in the list will it remove? If I do dot pop, right, in the index of -1, which item will it remove? Who will try? Who will try? Who will try? Are you trying? Or we should continue? Okay, so I told you the index of okay, Doc, are you saying it? Doc, you can go on. No, just try. Yeah, so the last one, that is it. I told you -1 helps you to assess the last thing, right? So dot pop -1 should try and remove Dennis for us, and you have seen it right here. So yeah, don't be afraid to say it. When you say it and it's wrong, you learn the new one, it takes forever. Yeah, so that's how we can remove items from a list, right? So we can use dot pop. We can also use dot remove. So we can just do names dot remove. That's if you know the specific thing you want to remove, then you can do names dot remove and type the name of what you want to remove. So if you do dot remove and you put Sam here, uh, it should remove Sam for you directly. That's if you know what you want to remove. Is that okay? So let me borrow the print here and put it here. Run it here, and you can see I've removed Sam. So this is another method to remove. Okay, but pop removes the last thing if nothing is provided, and then it can remove a specific thing if you provide an index. Is that okay? All right, so that's it. That's how we can remove items in the list. We also have dot clear method, delete method. Is that okay? So let's try clear. Clear clears everything from the list. So if we do here, we come here and let's say we do is it names dot clear like this, it will clear everything in the names list, so it will return to us an empty list. So you can see now we have an empty list. So that's what happens. Is that okay? And we also have delete. So you can also do del, right? And then you type the name of the list. So del names, and then you can type at a specific index. So if you want to remove, let's say the last thing or anything you want to, you can put any index. Let's put 1 here. So 1 is which one in the names is Denny. So if you can do 1 here, and let me comment this and also comment the clear here. So del names at index 1, that means delete the name here, right? Let's run it. and you can see that name is gone, that Dennis is gone. Is that okay? So you can also use delete here, which is del, to remove something if you want. Is that okay? So let me comment all of this. So you know how to remove items in the list, and you can use this all this method to remove items in the list. Is that okay? Any question about list so far? Any question about list so far? Okay, if no question, then let me teach about looping through a list. We learned how to loop yesterday. So let's say we want to loop through the list, right? So looping through a list is easy. I told you to loop, if you want to use, mostly use for loop. So you just do for, maybe you can do for, then you choose your own variable to replace each of the item in the list. So that variable will come and replace Sam, it will replace Dennis, it will replace Ifas, replace Dennis again at every iteration. Okay, you can come in. Okay, please. I want to ask. Yeah. What is the difference between the clear and then the I think the pop? Okay, so is that all, or you have something to? Yeah. So the clear, let's say once you do names dot clear, it removes everything from this list. It returns you an empty list like this. So you have an empty list, nothing is inside. Is that okay? But when you do pop, right, you do names dot pop, which is this. You do names dot pop and there is nothing here. You provide no argument, it will remove the last item in the list. When you do name dot pop and you want to pop a specific thing you know the index for, then you can provide the index here. So name dot pop, let's say at index 0 here, we remove this last thing here, this first thing here, which is Sam, this first thing here. Is that okay? Is that clear? Yes, sir. Do you have any other question, or that's cool? Okay, so now look. Okay. All right. So looping through a list of names, or looping through a list, let's put it like that. Looping through a list. Let me put it here. Looping through a list, right? So you want to loop through a list because maybe you want to access all these names and do something with them or something like that. So to loop through a list, yesterday I taught you looping and I told you can use a for loop. So first you write for, and then after writing for, you choose your own variable, which that variable will represent each item in this list. In every iteration, it will represent one of these items in this list. So for me, I want to choose name as my variable. You can use anything at all. So I can do for name in the variable I want to, or the iterable I want to iterate through. So I can do names. For name in names, I want to what? Print. Maybe let me first print the name. Is that okay? So this will loop through all these names and print them one after the other. So you can see Sam, Dennis, Ifas, Dennis, just like that. So if the names are thousands, you can go through all of them and do anything you want. You can loop through them. While looping through them, you can check for some name. You can do if anywhere name is equal to maybe some name. You can do something. You can maybe print something, name found or something like that. Okay, name is equal to, what is it? Equals Dennis. Then we can come here and print, maybe print something, just do something, but we are just printing something. In the real world, it can be a whole action that you want to take, found name or something. So as we are looping through the names, you say anywhere this name is equal to Dennis, we can just print it. So you can see found name, it printed it twice. That means we have Dennis twice here. Is that okay? So that's how we can loop through, how do we call it, the list of names, or list. That's how you can loop through list. You can also loop through the list using which is not mostly used, using the range function, right? So for that, you have to create a range for the number of items in the list, right? So you can just do for I in range of, and then inside this range you can start from maybe 0 to the length of the names, right? And we all know length of names will give you the total number of elements in the in this particular list. So whilst looping through this, we can now print names at I, because I here will just be 0, 1, 2, 3 up to the number of items in the list. So if you print I here, let me first comment this. If you print I here, I'll just be, you see 0, 1, 2, 3. So if we count the items in the list, we can 0, 1, 2, 3. So we can create a range for the items in the list, and now we can access all of them. You can just print names in the index of what I. So anytime if I is 0, it will come and access the first thing, because imagine when we want to access item in the list, we said if you want to access this first thing, it's at what, in the 0. The second thing, there's 1. The third, we learned that over here. Where is it? Accessing items in the list. Accessing item in the list. So some at 0. But now we are looping, so we are making it more dynamic. That anytime I is 0, access the element in the what, I've position, which will be 0 position, will be the first thing. If I is 1, it will access that element. So now if we print this, it will print both the I's and the names as well. So we are printing the I and we are printing the name. So that's how you can use also the range function to access items in a list. Is that okay? Okay, so yeah, I think our time is gone, 6:11, and we have done a lot about list now. So let's see if there is any other stuff I'll teach you about list. There is any other stuff I'll teach you about list. Okay, I think we have a lot of methods in a list though, but all those things, I think they are kind of not part of this. That's cool. Yeah, so that's list, and I think that's all you need to know about list. If you have any questions, let me know. If you don't, I will quickly introduce another data type we call dictionary, and then we'll do a mini project and we have some conversations, and that's all. Any question? Any question? Okay, so now let's get into dictionaries, right? We'll just do the basics of dictionary, how to define it, and dictionaries in Python. I know this is more much for you, but okay. So unlike list, dictionary help us to store data in this for structure, keys and values, right? Keys and values. So dictionary represents the real world more than that of a list, because we have let's say you have how do I put it, you have a phone company, right? And you want to represent that in the data. Dictionaries help you to do that well, because it has what we call the keys and the values. So in the dictionary, to construct a dictionary, first you have to also assign a name to it. So let's call this my dict, right? And my dict, it is equal to construct a dictionary. We use this is this curly braces, yeah, this curly braces, and then you have to store the items in the key and value pairs. So let's assume you are a phone manufacturer, like maybe Samsung, right? So first you have maybe your model, your model, right, or your brand. So let's call it brand. So you have brand here, and your brand here is the key, and the value for this brand here is what you assign, right? So let's say the value for this brand is Samsung or something like that. Samsung, right? And let me make this way so that it will look good. Right, so keys and value pair. So after assigning this, we call this one key, we call this one the value. This is the key and this is the value. If I want this value, I'll use the key to get it. All right, I can add other items to it. So I can say, oh, someone is now I can say, okay, I can also assign which model of the phone. So let's say the model of the phone, which the model here is the key, and the value will be maybe S25. So you can see this helps you to model like the real world. That's what the dictionary data types helps you to do. And then we can also add something like the year in which the phone is made, and we can do year, you do this colon, and then you put the year, maybe 2024, and you can continue adding the distance, the data in that format. Okay, key and value. Maybe we want to also add the price, right? And let's say the price is also some integer value, so we said maybe 580 cedis or something, like we just add something like that. So this, when you start constructing data like this, what you are doing is a what, you are constructing a dictionary. This is a dictionary type of data, which is mostly used, is mostly used. Okay, like this is the formatting which data comes in. So to check the data type, you can also print the same thing, type, and inside here you can do my dict, right? So if we check, let's run this, and you will see it will tell you class dict. So this is a class called what, dictionary. Is that okay? All right. And with dictionary, you can also access items, add items, remove items. But with dictionary, it doesn't take duplicates. You can't have brand twice in a dictionary. The second one will override the first one. So the items in the dictionary needs to be unique. So let's say now we want to access some items in the dictionary. Let's say we want to access the brand. We can just do we can assign that to, let's say, brand is equal to my dict in the key of, then you can put brand, right? So you access the item using what, the keys. Brand is equal to my dict, which is your dictionary, and what you want to access is the brand. So if you print brand here, this should give you Samsung, right? This will give you Samsung. So you can access all of this using their key. All right, if you also want to know all the keys you have in the dictionary, we have method for that. So you can just do my dict dot keys right? And this will give you all the keys you have in this particular dictionary. So when I run this, you can see these are all the keys. I have a key name brand, key name model, key name year, key name price. You can do the same thing for the values as well. You can print my dict dot values, right? And this should give you all the values. Is that okay? So you can see the values Samsung S25 2025. So this is how kind of how the data is modeled in the real world. I just want to introduce you to list. Maybe I think we can get more time dictionary where we dive deep into dictionary because it's very interesting. Maybe the last thing here I'll add is how to loop through dictionary. So to loop through a dictionary, because you have key and value pairs, you can either loop through it once or loop through it for, maybe you can do for key, common value, uh, value in what's the name, my dict dot items. You can do the items, and then here you can go ahead and print your key. You can print only the keys. When you run this, you can see you get all the keys. You can print the values as well. So this kind of how you can look through dictionaries, and you can get both the keys and values, and you can do whatever you want to do with them. Okay, dict dot items here gives you both the keys and the value pair. So it's a method we use. So if you want to get it, you can do my dict dot items, and inside here this will give you both the key and the value pairs. So I can comment this and run this, and you can see you have both your keys and your value. This comes as a tuple. So tuple is also another data type in Python. Set is also data type in Python, but this is how far or the time will permit we. So for now, let's be one simple project, um, emphasizing on list so that we can bring it to an end. So let's create a simple to-do list, right, where you can add item to your to-do. So first of all, let's do it this way. Let's create a loop where we'll take an input from the user to know the number of item the user wants to add, right? So let's say you are coming to add to-do list. First, we'll take the number of item. We'll ask you the number of item you want to add, and want to take that as an integer. So let's call that one num items is equal to, then we can do input of, we can ask you enter the number of items to add, right? So this should be an integer, so we should cast it. So this is the last project you are coming to be. So if we know that number, then we can create a for loop using that particular range, so that in each iteration we'll ask you to add the items and we can append it, right? So we can do for I in what range. We use the range to create a range. I taught you that I want to create a range from 0 to what norm of items. So if you today you want to add, okay, I'll go for a walk, I'll run, those are two. So if you enter two, we want to run a loop that I want to run a loop that run twice, right? And in each iteration you want to ask you to enter what you do, right? So we'll call that to do is equal to input, and then we ask you enter the task you will perform. So all of this, we've learned all of this, we are just joining things together. So we are asking the user to enter the task you perform. After getting the task, we have to save it, right? We have to save it, and we've learned about list, right? So we can create another variables here called, let's call them tax, and we make it an empty list. So tax is equal to an empty list, there is nothing in it. But we also know that to add item to a list, what do? We can use the append method to add a new item to a list. So we can just do tax dot what append, and inside here we'll do what, we'll append to do. So we have an empty barrel, just take it like empty tank or empty list that will take to do's. Then we ask the user the number of to do's, because we don't know what the user will be doing. If the user tells, okay, I'll be doing 5 things, we will write a loop that runs 5 times, each time asking the user to enter whatever the user will do. Anything the user gives us, we add it to this to-do list here, which will be added into this basket here. Then at the end, we can come even here and just print tax, and tax can just be some list of things, right? So let's quickly run this, and then I'll raise this. So enter the number of items to add, or what is the, okay, items to add. So let me say I'll be adding 3 items, so I'll click enter. So enter the task I'll perform. Today I will, let's say, let me write it where I will exercise, right? This is the first one. So it will, the loop will run again, because I said 3, so this loop should run 3 times, each time asking me what I will do. I will run, I will code, so I will code, I will exercise, I will code, definitely I will eat, right? So this, if I click enter, you can see now we have all those things in the list where we are printing it. So you can see now we have a list here which contains what, I will exercise, I will code, I will eat. So we take it, we store it, and then we are printing it. If you want to print them one after the other, you don't want to print the whole thing, it's a list, so you have to loop through the list, and we learned how to loop through a list. So you can do for maybe tax, or yeah, tax in tax, for tax, which is our choice of variable we are using in this particular tax here. What we want to do is to what, print, then we can print tax. So this will print whatever we store in this list one after the other. So let's do that. Let me just run it. Number of tax, let me just put 2 here. I will run, I will dance. So you can see now, you see these are the two, and you can see I will run and I will dance, which we are just putting it here. Yeah, so that's all, guys. We've learned a lot of things, and I think this lays down basic things you need to know in order to embark on your programming journey. If you have any question, I would like to take it now. If you don't have any question, let me know. Let me know. So if you have any question now, I would like it to take them now. Today is the final day of this whole. Okay, Dennis, you can come in. Y- yeah, so everything here, I'll share this with you guys. This code file, I'll share it in the group so that you have access to it. Is that okay? Any other thing? Any other questions? Okay, Doc, you can come in. Yeah, okay. 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 Oh, okay. So, this is how I want you guys to picture programming. Okay, programming is just like a tool, right? If you know a programming language, it's just like a tool that you can use to do something. It's just like you can speak English, right? The English you can speak now is a tool you can use to communicate with anyone who can also what speak English. Is that okay? So if there is a package in Python that you can use to create, let's say, a web app. Once you know Python, that means you can use that package to create your own web app, because any code you are going to write, you just need to learn the functions in that package to use that package, because you already know Python, you already know what is list. So when you get something like that, you know how to handle it. Is that okay? So just picture the programming like a tool that you have. There is nothing like a specific part you need to learn before you do this. It's a language you know. So once you know it, anything the language is capable of doing, you can use it, right? Even though when you learn Python, you are doing certain works, you use certain part of the Python to do those works. That one is fat. But when you know Python, you can do anything Python can do. Like if you are able to understand the language, you can use Python to do anything that Python can do. So if it's automation, which type of automation do you want to do? Okay, what do you want to do? Do you get it? Then you can now say, okay, I need to write some code to do that. That's where you use the Python to do that. Is that okay? So first of all, you have to identify what exactly. Okay, you said automation. Is it home automation? Is it machinery auto? You want to automate machines? Is that okay? So let me know quite what you want to use the automation, like the type of automation you want to do. Then I can be more specific. Okay, if this is what you want to work on, then do this, do that. Okay, so let's say you want, for instance, you want to automate machines. That means now you want to use Python to write Python on hardwares, right? Like hardware programming. And we have boards like Raspberry Pi, right? That runs, you can run Python. Then we have Raspberry Pi Pico. We have ESP boards. All these boards can run some Python, right? So it's kind of like IoT kind of boards, right? And you can write Python on those boards to use those boards to control something. I don't know. Let me try to show you. I have some board here which I've been using running something. Let me see if I can connect my camera and show you something. You see, so once you know Python, if that board can run Python, you can use that board to do whatever you want to do. Is that okay? So let me show you quickly. So that your own is to master the programming language. Uh, this working as a webcam? Let's see. Sorry, I'm coming. Where is it? We have you here. Where is he? Yeah, can you see me now? Let me kind of stop sharing the screen so that you can see. Um, can you see this? Can, can you see this board? Yeah, so this board here is called Raspberry Pi Pico, right? And you can see another board here. So this board right here is also a sensor. We call it MPU 6050. It gives you accelerometer and gyroscope data, right? So kind of like rotation data. So this board, you can write Python on it. We call that one micro Python. Is that okay? So it's a smaller version of Python. So it's the same like Python, but we have certain syntax in it that maybe it will be new to you. But once you know Python, you can write some level of micro Python. So this board here is from Raspberry. We call it this Raspberry Pi Pico. So this board can run micro Python. So I just write code on this board to what access data from here, and I can use this data to do whatever orientation stuff I want to do. Is that okay? So I don't know. If you want to go into that type, then when after learning Python, now you'll be buying boards and you'll be writing code for these boards. Is that okay? You'll be writing code for these boards to work to get data from these boards, and then you can use that data to automate whatever you want to automate. That one is what you want to do. You can get into it. So the first thing is about mastering the language, buying the necessary boards you need, and then you can use those boards to do whatever you want to do. Is that okay? Yeah. So that's kind of how it works. I'm trying to share. So you can see, can you see some code on the screen? So this is a Python code, and this is the code I'm uploading into the board to get the gyro and all those data. So it's a basic Python code. So the same Python you are learning, you can use it for something like this, which is very amazing. It's very good. So first of all, master the language. After mastering the language, which is the tool you have in hand, now you can dive into any aspect you want using the language. Is that okay? So your first thing is to master the language. Any other question? Say fast. Do you have a question? Or you are okay? Okay. Yeah, so guys, that is it, and this is just a boot camp to introduce you. There is a lot of things to learn, honestly. This is just some part of it. This is not everything in Python, but mostly when you understand whatever I taught you now, I think this will just open the way for you to learn other stuffs on your own. And for those of you who will also want to take it to the next level, I have a course where you can register. That's if you want, you can register. And when you register, I teach people Python like this. I have a whole team where this is what we do. We teach people till they know everything about Python. But for that one, it's tailored to whatever you want to become. So mostly people I teach, some want to become data analyst, machine learning engineer, some want to become Python developer. With that one, you just register for the course. We meet like twice in the week. But mostly so far, I've not taught any African students yet. Most of the people I teach are people from the US, UK, and those stuff. So we'll be talking in the group sometimes. So I organize maybe um just a coding session. You can be there in the group. I can update you. Okay, tonight we are going to build this thing. Maybe a week ahead. Next week this time we'll build it. We're building maybe an AI agent that will do something for us. So you can just make sure you put on your notification. Those are the things. But if you want to know much about those stuffs, you can have the website techwad.ai. When you go there, that's my official website where you can get every information about me, what we do, and all the stuffs. Is that okay? Yeah. So just that you know, for now we just have two courses: robotics and Python programming. Yeah, you can talk. You can talk if you. Yeah, I'll update you with those links. But it's just techwad.ai. It's the same techwad. Just add .ai and you get it. I'll update you though. And also, guys, I would like you guys to follow my socials, the YouTube, maybe TikTok, Instagram, and link. If you're on LinkedIn, I'll be glad we can connect. Yeah, the LinkedIn is also fine. And if you are entering into tech, then you have to make sure you have a professional profile on LinkedIn where you also share some of these things you learn for people to track your progress. Is that okay? Yeah, so yeah, that's all for this session. We'll be talking in the group. Also share the group with others to join so that they can learn things for free, because why not? We'll be having free sessions every now and then. So that's it for this particular bootcamp, and I'm very glad you guys joined. You've learned one or two things, and don't give up. The key to success is by doing. Just don't stop doing, right? Just don't stop doing. This bootcamp is just to tell you what is possible, how some of these things work. Now the whole work is on you, sitting your ass down, doing it over and over, coming out with some project, building certain things, learning a lot. So when you stop and you go back to it, you look like, oh, you didn't even learn anything about Python at all. But when you keep doing it, and always I'm in the group, when you have any problem, just share it. So yeah, just share it. You have anything you want, just share it. Share the group to people to also join so that we can help each other grow. Yeah, so that's all from my side. um I'll see you guys later. We'll